Most Christian women start a GLP-1 to honor their body, but most walk away weaker than when they started. You are not taking this lightly. You researched it, you prayed about it, and you decided this is the year to take your health back. This video is not here to talk you out of it. It is here to make sure you go about this the right way. After working with thousands of women on GLP-1 medications, I kept seeing the same outcome in patients who came to me after starting somewhere else. The scale went down and everything else went with it. There was one step that separates the women who come out stronger from the women who come out smaller. Almost nobody takes it before they start. I am going to show you what actually determines whether a GLP-1 honors the body God gave you or works against it. The one number you need before you first dose, and the mistake that turns a good decision into a setback most women never fully recover from. Point one, the mistake most people make before they start. Most women starting a GLP-1 go in thinking the goal is to eat less and weigh less. That is exactly how these medications are marketed and prescribed. The drug reduces appetite, you consume fewer calories, the scale goes down. Simple math, clean result. Every ad, every before and after, every headline about Ozempic is built around the same image. A smaller number on the scale. Doctors who prescribe it are measuring success the same way. You step on the scale, the number drops, the treatment is working. That feedback loop feels like proof that everything is going in the right direction. Here is what that number on the scale does not tell you. When you lose weight rapidly on a GLP-1 without a specific protective strategy in place, a significant portion of what you lose is not fat. It is muscle. And muscle is not just about how you look. Muscle mass is one of the most powerful predictors of how long you live and how well you age. It controls your metabolism, your insulin sensitivity, your ability to burn fat long after the medication stops, and your protection against cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and cognitive decline. When muscle goes down, metabolic health goes with it. You can end up smaller, weaker, and metabolically worse off than when you started. The scale can go down while your health goes backward, and most providers will call that a success. What makes this fixable is that the step that protects your muscle during GLP-1 treatment is not complicated once you know what it is. Women who take this one step before they start do not just lose weight, they lose the right kind of weight and come out the other side with a body that is stronger, more metabolically resilient, and capable of keeping the weight off after the medication ends. Before I get to the protective step, you need to understand what actually drives results with GLP-1 medications because it is almost certainly not what you think. Point two, what actually drives results? Most people starting a GLP-1 think the medication is doing the heavy lifting. Less hunger, fewer calories, weight comes off. The assumption is that as long as you are taking the drug consistently, the outcome is going to follow. What actually determines whether a GLP-1 produces lasting metabolic change is what you do with the appetite suppression window the medication opens for you. The drug gives you a window. What you build during that window is everything. Specifically, the patients who get the durable results are the ones who use the reduced appetite to shift their protein intake up and begin to maintain resistance training. Not because it makes the weight loss faster in the short term, but because it preserves and builds the muscle mass that keeps the metabolism active after the medication ends. The patients who use GLP-1s lazily often find themselves at a lower weight with a slower metabolism and more fragile muscle tissue than they started with. When they stop the medication, the weight comes back faster because the metabolic engine underneath got smaller. You are not losing weight, you are losing the things that keep weight off permanently. Whether you are positioned to make that strategy work right now is something almost nobody assesses before they start. Point three is going to give you a specific way to look at your own situation and tell whether you are ready to get the most out of this medication or whether there is a thing to lock in before day one. Point three, how to assess your own situation before you act. Before you start any GLP-1 medication, answer these honestly. Do you currently know your lean muscle mass? Not your weight, not your BMI, your actual pounds of muscle. If you do not know that number, you do not have a baseline and you cannot track whether you are protecting what matters most during this process. Are you eating at least 0.7 grams of protein per pound of your target body weight every day? If your appetite is already low or inconsistent and you add a medication that suppresses it further without a protein strategy in place, muscle loss starts almost immediately. Are you doing any form of resistance training, even minimally? Cardio does not protect muscle. Lifting does. If the answer is no, the medication will still reduce your appetite, but the tissue that comes off alongside the fat will include the very muscle your metabolism depends on. If you answered yes to all three, you're positioned well. Your job before starting is to make sure those three things stay in place once the appetite suppression kicks in. If you've answered no to any of them, that is not a reason to delay indefinitely. It is a reason to address the specific gap in the next 7 days before the first dose. The woman who is most at risk is not the one who is unprepared. She is the one who is motivated and disciplined, but has been told that eating less is the entire goal. She cuts her food down, loses weight fast, feels like it's working, and 3 to 4 months later finds herself fatigued, weaker than before, and unable to maintain the loss once the medication dose changes. She did everything her provider told her to do. Nobody told her the right things to do first. Here is the specific step that changes the outcome. If this is the first time anyone has walked you through what to do before starting a GLP-1, not just what the medication does, but what you need to have in place first, this is what I put out every week. Subscribe so you catch the next one before you need it. Point 4, what to do before you start. Before your first dose, you need one number, not your weight, not your BMI, your lean muscle mass. The way to get it is a body composition scan called an InBody. It takes 30 seconds. It tells you exactly how much muscle you have, how much fat you are carrying, and how much of that fat is wrapped around your organs. The number is your baseline. Every month after you start, you track it. If muscle holds while fat drops, well, the medication is working. If the muscle drops alongside fat, you have a problem your scale will never show you. I run an InBody on every single patient before we talk about GLP-1 treatment. I had a 56-year-old patient, airline pilot, active, no major health history on paper. Standard labs never flagged anything serious. When we ran a full comprehensive assessment, his insulin was 38, his triglycerides were 580, and his cardiovascular risk was through the roof. Nothing in his standard workup caught it because nobody was looking at the right numbers. The women I see who struggled most on GLP-1 medications prescribed elsewhere have the same story. The scale went down. Nobody tracked what actually changed underneath. When you have that baseline number before you start, you stop flying blind. You know exactly what you are protecting. You know whether the medication is doing what you need it to do. And if something is going wrong, you catch it in month 1 instead of month 6. Your doctor celebrating your weight loss does not mean your body is winning. Here is what this all comes back to. Point 5, the first step that changes everything. This week, before your first dose, find a provider who offers in-body scanning and get your baseline numbers: lean muscle mass, body fat percentage, and visceral fat. Write them down. Bring them to whoever is prescribing your GLP-1 and tell them you want to track these every month alongside your weight. If they're not willing to do that, you do not have adequate supervision for what this medication actually requires. Here's what I want to leave you with. You did not decide to do this because you wanted to be smaller. You decided to do this because you wanted to be well, because you understood that the body you were given is worth fighting for. That is not vanity. That is stewardship. Stewardship means knowing what you are protecting before you start, tracking whether you are actually protecting it, and refusing to call a number on a scale of victory when you have no idea what it cost you underneath. A GLP-1 used that way is not a shortcut. It is a tool, and a tool used correctly with intention and oversight is one of the most powerful ways I have seen women over 40 get back the health God designed their body to have. You made a decision. You now make it a complete one. Get the baseline, track the right numbers, and go into this exactly what honoring your body actually looks like from the inside out. If you want to understand what your body actually needs to thrive at this stage of life, go watch my video on the 5 things I wish every woman over 40 knew about her hormones. Everything we just talked about connects directly what is in that video. It is on your screen right now.